Hello, I'm here today to do a flip through and a kind of general overview or review of the Medieval Europe Tarot as requested by a viewer. But I felt guilty going through this deck and showing it to everybody when it's very expensive. So I thought it might be fun to do a flip through of the Golden Tarot by Cat Black alongside it. This would be the mass market, affordable, maybe alternative to the Medieval Europe Tarot. But there's kind of two main differences that I think I need to point out before we go through the flip through. The first one is the Golden Tarot has art mostly featured from churches, whereas the Medieval Europe Tarot has a lot less of those religious images in it. The images are taken from manuscripts. And the second main difference between the two are the number of cards. So this is a standard 78 card deck, whereas this one has 86 cards. There's an extra chariot card, there's a bonus major arcana card, as well as the planetary cards, the traditional planets, that is. So when we go through the flip through, there's going to be some more of these cards than there is going to be of these. Let's have a look first at the packaging of the Medieval Europe Tarot. It comes in this very nice kind of smooth, satiny finished box. It's very large and it's very thick, heavy cardboard. That's going to hold up really well. It reminds me of old board games and card games that we used to get as kids. And then here's the blurb at the back. If you want to read it, you can pause the video and do so. When we open the box up, inside we have a hardbound book and the cards. And they come out nice and easy. As I say that, there's a card back there. But yeah, they come out nice and easy. And there's this little dent in the box here that makes taking the cards out easier. I like when they do that. So that's the box there. The hardbound book is also produced beautifully. Gold gilded, or engraved, embossed, I guess. And it has this kind of velvet fabric. There, you can see it in the light. It's kind of velvety. In the book, you get an introduction. It explains where the art came from, and all that. You have some beautiful art pages. And then the major arcana has a page of information with a non-colored picture. This is, I guess, sepia toned. And it continues for all the majors like that. And the minors also get a full picture on the right side. And on the left side, there's a write-up that varies in length, but it's still about a page. So you get the same kind of information. So that's the booklet. Now I kind of wanted to talk about where the art came from. And it came from the 1500s. Here we have the dates. So it's kind of that medieval Renaissance period. And it came from manuscripts. The art is not something that you would recognize, which I thought was interesting because Cat Black also talks about the art that she features being not super famous or well known. So both creators went for lesser known artists, less known art to portray in their decks, which I thought was cool. But this one comes mainly from manuscripts, whereas the art in the Golden Tarot comes mostly from churches, also in Europe. So that's where the imagery will differ a lot. Also, the way that it was put together, In this deck, the creator redrew some of the art that was damaged and just created a more cohesive scene, whereas Cat Black collaged different pieces of different images together to create the scene. And we'll see that later when we open that one up. So back to this deck. It is gold gilded, or kind of almost like a copper gilding. It's matte gilding, so that's nice. Comes with this cover card and this advertisement card. The cardstock is not glossy, but it does have a sheen. This is what it reflects like next to a window. And it's very, very thick. I don't know if you can catch that, but it is very thick. Cardstock. Here it is in my hand. It's a little hard to hold on to. And the cards are quite large. Let me go grab a standard tarot size. So here is a standard US Games sized card compared to these cards. You can see they're quite a bit wider and taller. The backs are very colorful and they feature the zodiac in these outside circles. Very nice. So I'm going to set aside these extra cards and the book and the box. And we'll have a quick look at the packaging of the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. This one comes in a two-piece box that opens on the top here. And the book in this one, although not a hardcover, is quite substantial as well. But the images are much smaller. You do get reversed meanings, and it also gives you a meaning for multiples of this number in a spread. And there's much the same amount of information in the major arcana cards. As I said, this is taken from medieval and Renaissance time period, and the images are collaged together, but in the back they give you all the paintings where everything was sourced. So for example, in the page of coins, the body came from this painting, the face came from this, jewels, book, red hat, goat. It lists every different aspect in the image and where it originated from. And I thought that was a neat way to piece together a landscape. I'm sure it took a lot of time. Now the actual deck here is gold gilded in that shiny gilding, but it's held up pretty well over the years, I'd say. Comes with a cover card, a little information card, which I'll leave here for a second. And then you go into the deck. Now this cardstock is glossy, you can see, but it's a lot more flexible without being thin. Compared to a regular size tarot card, it is also just a tad bit wider and taller, but it is smaller than the medieval Europe tarot, by still quite a bit. So these are closer to standard size, and they are easy to handle and shuffle. And I don't know if I remember to say this, but the Cat Black Tarot is a US game system production, so it's mass market and it is quite affordable. So, like I said, I wanted to do them side by side just in case the Golden Tarot might speak to you, and maybe you will get the same kind of feel from this deck that you're getting from this one, and it just might be easier to access the mass market deck. Now, you may not get the same feeling and still want the medieval Europe, which is totally understandable. I have both, and I think they do give off a different feeling, but also they do have a lot of similarities. So, without much more distractions from me, we'll get to the flip through. Oh, here, just before we start, you can see how much thicker the medieval Europe tarot is. So, it's quite substantially bigger. Anyway, less distractions. Angie, less distractions. Here we are. We begin with the Fool, and we can see that the medieval tarot has much more of a scene going on than the Cat Black tarot. But the main things, the dog, the person, are still present in both. Oh, and these are the backs for these. There's a kind of more traditional magician here. Here it's titled The Mage, and it's more alchemical. Interestingly, both high priestesses here feature a cat, but the one in the medieval Europe tarot also has a unicorn and crystals, and just a lot more little bits and bobs here and there. But again, the pillars, the cat, the priestess, the book are present in both. And I'm going to try not to talk through all of this. The emperors are looking in opposite directions here, but the lion, bird, symbolism is still there. Ooh, no fly. The Hierophant. The staffs look very, very similar. Here the Hierophant is in a very traditional pose. Much more religious looking lovers here, and the kind of more Marseille looking lovers here. I like the inclusion of these rabbits. I think it makes him seem kind of like a player. I don't know, just an extra layer of interpretation there. Okay. Now the chariot in both of these decks is quite unique if you're comparing it to the traditional RWS or Marseille, because here you have swans as the carriers, a very kind of strict and astute posture there. And then here you have, I'm not even sure what to make of it, but it's this kind of fun, quirky person going berserk with a wagon. There is the addition of an extra chariot card in this deck, and this one is from mythology. I forget what the myth was called, but a son stole a chariot from his father and crashed it on Earth, I believe. But you'll have to check me on that. So you have your choice of chariot cards in the medieval Europe tarot. And then in Cat Blacks, it's a white swan and a black swan. The Justice and Strength cards are swapped in these two decks. So this follows the Marseille tradition, and this one follows the RWS in terms of numbering the cards. So I'll set this Strength aside for later, and this Justice away for later. For now, we can Move on to the Hermit, which has a very similar scene in both of these cards. In Cat Blacks, we have Wheel of Fortune, and here we're just titled The Wheel. Okay, so here are the strength comparison cards. Much more violent and traditional here. And I think I'm noticing that the sun might be the same sun. Yeah, the same sun featured throughout the deck. That's kind of cool. And a more gentle kind of strength depicted here. Here's Justice. Very similar hangmans. The legs are crossed in opposite directions, and here there's a lot more esoteric symbols, and here's just very, I don't want to say plain, but simple. Both death cards are very interesting, kind of creepy in their own ways. Similar, but different temperance cards. They're looking in opposite directions. We're pouring from cup to cup. Here we're just pouring into the earth. The Devil. This one's kind of cool. It looks like it's inside the mouth. We're looking into a scene of Adam and Eve, or that's what it seems like to me. Here we are in the depths of hell. Very similar feelings in the Tower. The Star. Here I do really prefer the Cat Black's Moon, but that's my own bias. I just love this scene. Traditional RWS Sun, more symbolism, same sun though. Judgment. And the World. Here with all the children under the cape. But we'll see a similar card in here soon. And let me just cover that up. In this deck we have extra planetary cards, so we'll go through those quickly. There's Saturn, Venus, Mars, and you have the associated zodiac signs with them. Jupiter, Mercury, or Mercury, an extra zodiac card that shows you the body equivalents or the body points for each sign. And then here is Protection, which I thought was very similar to the World card, with what appears to be Mother Mary cloaking children or people. Yeah, I thought they were very similar. A very busy Ace of Wands here and here. So you'll see this one, the Cat Black's Golden Tarot, sticks very closely to the RWS interpretations and scenes, whereas this one diverges a little. Here, however, they're both quite similar. Here, they're similar, but it's interesting. In Cat Blacks, everyone is fighting, but here in the medieval Europe, you have two that are very clearly fighting, and then two that are kind of like, I don't know what's happening here. Like, should we join in? Should we just chill. So I think there's an extra layer of interpretation that could be done here. It's interesting here, the Seven of Wands is facing unknown opposition. I guess I always assumed that it was people, but here you see that it's birds and snakes. There's a man beating on a woman in the background here. So that's interesting. I did not see that before. Again, very traditional RWS. And here, I guess the meaning can be interpreted similarly, but you have a different scene going on, which could be a nice change of pace, if that's what you're looking for. Now, I wish I understood more of what was going on here, but I can't pretend that I do. Maybe we'll have a quick look at what it says in the booklet for the Nine of Wands in medieval Europe. Okay, so the excerpt reads, "The enemy is closing in, but the young man is not going to give up. He confronts danger, and an angel helps him cope with his foe." Okay, I see two angels here. Since the old days, Nine of Wands was considered a victory card, almost to the same extent as the Six of Wands. However, compared to the later, it conveys much less pompousness. It is a card that reflects the will and personal inner strength of the questioner. Therefore, it can be considered a good sign if it refers to a person who is faced with serious problems or dangers. Okay, I like that. I like that it included some history on the Nine of Wands as well. Similar Ten of Wands. I love this little sun hiding back here, but you know it's the same sun. Page. The knights facing in opposite directions. And an extra knight flying through here. That's another thing I love about both of these decks, the little strange going-ons in the background are really fun and quirky. I think there's a cow flying through a page of another card in this deck. It's fun. Both of these decks do that. In the medieval Europe tarot, you see the court cards interacting with other people, and they're kind of, yeah, more social in a way. You can see them in their day-to-day lives. Whereas the ones in the Cat Black's tarot kind of just feature the person. They're not interacting with anyone. Now we're on to the cups. Here's another nod to what seems to me to be Adam and Eve. Very similar Three of Cups. That's interesting. Because you have 3 people, and then an additional 2 people. This one's funny. Here there's groupings of angels, and here there's just a group of people. But the cups are all there with different choices. This to me is a very dramatic looking Eight of Cups, because you have this person walking away from, on the left side, there's a lot of darkness. Whereas here you see more the horizon and what the person is walking towards. A common scene in the Nine of Cups on this side, a different interpretation on this side. Although, I guess if you consider the times, then having an abundance of food and fish, could equal the same thing. Maybe. Anyway, Ten of Cups, happy families, rainbows, all that stuff. Here in the Page of Cups, the fish is falling out. It's kind of a similar color to the background, a little difficult to see. Here you have it in the cup, with some birds waiting. The Knight. Queen and King. Again, a lot more happening in the courts here. Although there is a lot in the background, I suppose. Just not interaction with other people. Ace of Swords. And you also get associations in the aces here in the Medieval Europe Tarot. Let me just flip back to the Ace of Cups. Yeah. So the associations are still there. That's interesting. There's one facing up and one facing down. You have an angel pulling down a demon. Similar feel to these. Although there seems to be some crucifixion going on in the background there. Yeah. Oh, I see. That's why there's blood on the hands and the feet. So maybe they're not that similar. Huh. Here we have someone resting, like in the RWS, and here they appear to be praying. A similar Six of Swords. Now, I've often said I really like this one because it looks so old, like it's from an old tapestry. But this one also really appeals to me aesthetically. There's a little fish in the water drawn there. So, I love these. I love them both. Here you literally have someone tiptoeing on top of the wall. This is fun. Sorry, my idea of fun can sometimes be a little gruesome. But I like the variation of an interpretation there. Similarly here. Here the Ten of Swords are people. Different people stabbing you in different places. Oh, here it is. The jumping cow. It's just so fun. Some dragons on the side here. I think those are just birds. And the Queen of Swords. Here she is in her cruel glory, often depicted holding a head, traditionally, or in the past. I like that she's not in this one. There's a butterfly. King. And the last suit are the coins, and they're called coins in both decks. So the ace, with all the associations, astrological associations, or zodiac associations, I should say. This is a fun, slightly different interpretation, but you still have the two circles and the infinity sign in both. Burying some treasure here, finishing off a project here. Not sure what's going on here, but very traditional here. There's scales in both of these, and the cheeky sun peeking out. Craftsmanship in both of the 8 of coins. Abundance, family, in both of the 10 of coins. Although it's daytime in this one. Maybe it's daytime in this one, but it's a dark looking day. Here's the page, again, looking off in opposite directions. But you have a goat here and a fox here. These knights are going in the same direction. This one has a bird companion, this one has a dog companion. Queen and king. So there we go. That was a flip through of the Medieval Europe Tarot and the Mass Market Golden Tarot by Cat Black. Both have imagery from medieval Renaissance periods. They're both collaged in a different way. And there's the essence of a similar feeling. One's a little less, I guess, Christian looking, as these images were taken from manuscripts. And a lot of these were taken from churches. But 2 beautiful decks. Again, mass market and not so. And this one's quite expensive. So you've seen them both, and I hope this helps anyone who's trying to make a decision on whether they want to purchase the Medieval Europe Tarot, because it is beautiful, and I've seen it around a lot. But there are alternatives that are easier to get, that are more affordable. So yeah, thanks for joining me here today. Take care, everyone, and stay safe. Bye-bye.